What's good, peeps? Self-isolation, day 28. As per usual, hopefully everyone is doing well. Hopefully everyone is staying safe. Before we try and break down this BT Sports Boxing Fantasy Heavyweight Tournament, are there any strongman fans in the building? Let's have a quick swig of the amber nectar. If you are a strongman, make sure you do tune in to ESPN's live stream May 1st. Half-4 Beyonce, or 4, as a lot of people know him by because of Game of Thrones, is trying to break the deadlift world record. 4, arguably the strongest man in the world right now, is trying to break Eddie Hall's deadlift record. I think Eddie Hall set that, I'm going to say 4 years ago. Eddie Hall lifted 500 kilos, which back then was just like, what are you doing, right? 4 is going to go for 501, and now he's saying he's going to go for 520. 520 kilos. Now, if you're a gym guy, you'll know that's just ridiculous, right? Just for those that deadlift in gyms, and most people use 20 kilo plates. That's what is that? That's 12 plates if the bar is 20 kilos. Is that right? Something like that anyway. That just doesn't make any sense at all. Obviously, there is an issue because it's going to be classed as the world record, but it's not in competition. It will be in Iceland as well. But they're saying that Magnus Van Magnusson, a former world strongest man, is going to be one of the judges. So that's legit for me. 520 is ridiculous. So again, if you are a strongman fan, I'm a massive fan of most things, by the way. But if you're a strongman fan, make sure you tune into that because I don't care if it's not in tournament. I don't care. 520 is 520. And that's not normal. All right, let's have a quick look at BT Sports heavyweight boxing tournament. I think they're actually doing this by public votes. I think it's already started. So, yeah, the public gets to vote who goes through, which is like, oh, really? You know, why can't they just, like what football do nowadays, where you get a few experts around the table and you decide? I think BBC One do a great job when I think they've got Alan Shearer, Ian Wright, Gary Lineker, and a couple of others, and they're around the table and they're saying, you know what, yep, this is because they've either played against them or they've watched them for years. Why don't they do that? They get a couple of experts around the table, you pick the 16 best heavyweights, and you have a proper debate, right? Former fighters, current fighters, promoters, anyone, get 16 experts, or no, not 16 is ridiculous, 5 experts around the table, and you pick. But they're doing it by public vote, just because they have nothing else to do. All right, let's look at the 16. Should anyone not be here? So, all right, got Lennox Lewis, Riddick Bowe, Ali, Evander Holyfield, Tyson Fury, Dillian White. What's Dillian White doing there? No, Dillian White shouldn't be there. And that's not, like, people are, I'm just being very honest. Dillian White's not even been a world champion. I mean, there are guys in the last sort of 50 years, I guess they're not going back that far, right? Like Joe Louis. Why is Joe Louis not here? But again, I guess they're not going back that far. Or whoever does this doesn't know too much about boxing. But Dillian White should not be there. But let's carry on. Mike Tyson, okay, understandable. Joe Fraser, Anthony Joshua, Larry Holmes, George Foreman, Deontay Wilder, Vladimir Klitschko, Frank Bruno, okay, yeah. Vitaly Klitschko, what's David Hay doing there? David A shouldn't be there. I'm not even being rude. Am I being rude? What's David A doing there? Like, again, get the 16 best, please. Get the 16 best. Like, if we're being real, Anthony Joshua shouldn't be there either, right? I mean, there's some people that shouldn't be there because they're not as part of the 16 best. Frank Bruno shouldn't be there either. I'm just being very, very real to you guys right now. Who else? Who else would you remove? You could remove Deontay Wilder from that list as well. But anyway, I understand why they put those guys in because it makes sense in terms of people voting. I guess a lot of the sort of newer boxing fans are going to know these guys, or maybe casual boxing fans, right? I am kind of a casual myself. All right, let's start. Where should we start? Let's start my bottom right. So let's run through this very quickly. This shouldn't be a long video. David Hay versus Vitaly Klitschko. Vitaly Klitschko. Vitaly Klitschko would put David Hay to sleep, I think, right? Especially if we're going peak, right? If we're going peak Vitaly, peak David Hay. I think we saw how David Hay struggled with the height and even the movement a bit and the jab of Vladimir. I think Vitaly ices him. Just my own opinion. We got a Frank Bruno, Vladimir Klitschko. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Frank Bruno, Vladimir Klitschko. Vlad. Got to go Vlad on that one. I think Frank, I think Vlad, you know, it's weird because we consider Frank a big heavyweight. I think Frank was like 6'3", 6'4", I think. And even his weight wasn't big, you know. When, like, obviously, when you think of it now, and the reason I said this because everyone obviously compares Joshua to Frank. Joshua's much bigger than Frank Bruno. I think Frank Bruno was about 16 and a half stone. I can't be able to check, but I think it was about that. But anyway, I would go Vlad. I think Vlad would beat Frank Bruno. Yeah, I'm comfortable in saying that. All right, George Foreman, Deontay Wilder. George Foreman would beat Deontay Wilder for me. That's what I think. So far we got both Klitschko's have gone through. We've got George Foreman going through. Larry Holmes versus AJ. That's a bit unfair, innit? Whoever's done this, obviously, like if Sky Sports done this, Sky Sports wouldn't match up Larry Holmes and Anthony Joshua, would they? You know, that's unfair. Who they match? And they've matched Fury with Dillian White. Why can you match Fury with Larry Holmes? I think in the fantasy votes, obviously, because this is a public voting thing, the public have voted AJ. Stop yourselves, people. Again, I'm an AJ fan. Ain't happening. Ain't happening at all. Larry Holmes is the top 5 heavyweight of all time. So Larry Holmes is through. That's a decent run of people through. So Vitaly's through, Vlad's through, Foreman's through, Larry Holmes is through. All right, this side is definitely harder. Bloody hell. All right, let's start from the bottom. Joe Fraser, Mike Tyson. Jesus Christ, man. Joe Frazier, Mike Tyson, peak for peak. How tough is that? I've got to come back to that. In fact, there's no point because the one at the top's even harder. Lewis Bowe. You know what? I can't lie to you. I am stuck. The Riddick Bowe that fought Evander Holyfield, I think is just... If that guy... Obviously, this doesn't work like this, and I know before people come at me, but if that Bowe could have just stayed that Bowe, right? Not turn into Big Daddy Bowe, just that Bowe. So he's big, but he's mobile, and his punch output is incredible, and he can take a punch, and he's strong. That Bowe there is a problem for anybody on this list. Anybody. Like, if we're going peak for peak, that Riddick Bowe there is a problem, people. That would have been such a good fight. It pains me that fight didn't happen. I don't know who to choose. I'm going to go back to the bottom. Mike Tyson, Joe Fraser. Jeez, how do you pick this one? You know, the thing about Joe Fraser is this. Obviously, styles make fights, right? Everyone on here, I think, says Muhammad Ali is the greatest heavyweight, right? Some people argue, but I think Muhammad Ali is never going to be worse than number 1 or 2, right? If he is, then stop watching boxing. Joe Fraser was his toughest competitor all the time, right? Those fights, I mean, he beat Ali. Obviously, Ali was coming off a long layoff, but he beat Ali. Those were Ali's toughest fights. So I know it's a styles make fights thing, but if we're saying Muhammad Ali was the greatest and you're thinking of the person that caused him the most problems, it's smoking Joe Fraser. But then I think of that style, that kind of bobbing, weaving style, and you kind of think of a heavyweight that tried to copy that style and emulate that style and do his own bobbing and weaving because he was also an undersized heavyweight. It's Mike Tyson. All right, let's do the middle ones. Even those are not easy, but Fury, Dillian White. I've gone Tyson Fury to go through. I think Tyson Fury will beat Dillian White. I think Dillian White will cause him some problems, by the way. You know, I think Dillian White will cause him problems. Dillian White, just tough and strong and rugged, isn't he? I mean, he's not going to make you. You're not going to have a boxing match with Dillian White. You're not. You're going to have to get into the trenches with him. If you think you're going to stand off and look pretty and box, then ain't happening. You've got to get into the trenches, and you've got to stop him in his stride. Almost like what AJ did. You just got to dent him. You've got to dent him. If you don't, he's going to just keep marauding. He's just going to keep marauding. Tyson Fury doesn't really have a punch, you know. I know people might say put Deontay Wilder down and all that. Doesn't really have a punch. You know, no one's considering Tyson Fury a one-punch KO artist or even a puncher that hurts you. No one's considering that. So that's not a foregone conclusion, but I will edge to Fury. I mean, you've got to, right? I will edge to Fury. So Fury's through. Muhammad Ali, Evander Holyfield. BT Sports have got this wrong. They've got this wrong. This is not how you do a fantasy tournament, right? This isn't how you do it. You do it seeded 1 to 16. Number 1 fights number 16. Number 2 fights number 15, so on and so forth. Ali versus Holyfield, you've got number 1 versus number 6, maybe. But for me, you've got number 1. You know what I mean? I love Evander Holyfield. I mean, oh, jeez. Evander Holyfield, like, you think of what Evander Holyfield has done, right? He's been in there with some all-time greats and still continued after that as well. Those fights against Bo, those fights against Tyson, those fights against Lewis. I mean, it's ridiculous, huh? Ridiculous. And let's not forget what he done at the lower weight classes. But, I mean, that's Muhammad Ali. That is Muhammad Ali. I mean, we talk about what Evander Holyfield done. Let's talk about what Ali done. Let's talk about Sonny Liston, who probably should have been on this list. Let's talk about George Foreman. Let's talk about Joe Fraser. Let's talk about those fights. Ken Norton. Let's go. Let's go. You know what I mean? So Muhammad Ali goes through. So I've got Muhammad Ali through. I've got Tyson Fury through. I've just got to pick between Lewis and Bo and Tyson and Fraser. I wish this was live so I could get some help here. Jesus Christ. I'm struggling. I'm really, really struggling. All right, you know what? Do we have a coin to toss? Do we have a coin? I'm tossing a coin, peeps. Not joking. I'm tossing a coin. It's like it's gone out the window. I'm just tossing a coin. All right, what we got? Lennox Lewis, Riddick Bowe. Tails, heads, Bowe, tails, Lewis. Heads, Bowe, tails, Lewis. Tails, Lewis is through. This is what it's got to. Lewis is through. I can't decide. I'm not joking. I can't decide. Tyson, I can't decide. Tyson, Joe Fraser. So heads, Tyson. Tails, Joe Fraser. Tails, Fraser's through. Sorry, people. That's how it's done. All right. So we've got. I say Lewis is through, right? So we've got Lewis versus Ali. All right, no, let's do the other side first. I need some thinking time. So we've got Vitaly Klitschko. We've got Vitaly Klitschko versus Vladimir Klitschko. I always said that I think Vitaly is the better of the two. Vlad has the longer record, but I do think Vlad would have... Vlad has the longer record, but I think Vitaly would have beaten every single person Vlad beat and worse. I think injuries held him back big time, right? So I'm going to go Vitaly to have beaten his younger brother. So Vitaly's through. And in the other one, we've got Larry Holmes versus George Foreman. What a good fight that is. Larry Holmes versus George Foreman. I mean, George, back in the day, George was considered something nasty, you know. Something. It's weird when we look at George now as this nice, friendly pastor. Is he still a pastor? Just a nice, humble guy. Like, you could send George a tweet saying, George, how would you have got on against Larry Holmes? He's, Larry Holmes would have jabbed my head off. And he's just so humble with it. It's so refreshing. And I believe that as well. I think Larry Holmes would have won just by using his jab. It would have been a tough fight. But I think Larry Holmes was the better boxer of the two. George Foreman was clearly stronger and tougher. But I think this would have come down to a boxing match. And I think Larry Holmes would have won a 15-round decision over George Foreman. So I've got Vitaly going through and I've got Larry Holmes going through. How does it work? Okay, see how it works. And on this side, we've got Lewis versus Muhammad Ali. yeah, Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali. Come on, people. It's not like I'm thinking about it now. You know, like Muhammad Ali even slowed down when he turned into Muhammad Ali, basically when he changed his name. Cassius Clay was so fast, feet and hands, it was ridiculous. And we're talking Olympic gold medalist as well, which I think people forget for some reason. Well, they don't forget, it's just because his accolades after are so big, we don't even talk about that. But then again, so was Lennox Lewis. But yeah, for me, Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was just special, you know? I mean, and look, styles make fights, right? I mean, I think that the person that causes Muhammad Ali problems might have been lower down the bracket. So the Mike Tysons or Joe Frasers, those are the ones, right? The smaller ones that can get in close and bob and weave. I think those were the guys that caused him the most problems. I say those guys, mainly Joe Fraser. I think a guy big, standoff, not fast hands, Lennox Lewis, I think he's just going to chew him up. Just because Muhammad Ali is just too fast for him. Too fast. Could punch as well, Muhammad Ali. I think he fought someone. I think it was Ken Norton. Was it Ken Norton or Cleveland Williams? Someone was talking about his jab later on in life, and they were saying it was just like, it was cutting you like a knife. It was so fast. So I would go Muhammad Ali to beat Lennox Lewis. But that four corner up there is phenomenal. Lewis, Bowe, Ali, Holyfield, phenomenal. So anyone coming out of that really is a favourite to win. But Muhammad Ali to go through. On this side, who we got? We got Fury versus Joe Fraser. Very interesting, huh? Very interesting. Tyson Fury versus Joe Frazier. I mean, look at the size difference here. What did Joe Fraser weigh at his peak? Sorry, let me just quickly check something. What did Joe Fraser weigh? Joe Fraser weight and height. 104 kilos. What's that in stone? Just so I know in stone. 16 stone 3. Was he really that much? I didn't think he was that big, by the way. That's massive for Joe Fraser. That can't be right. That can't be right. I should have checked that somewhere. Anyway, I think he was around 100 kilos. So I think Joe Fraser was under 16 stone. Could be wrong, but I think he was. I think for some fights he might have, especially towards the end, he might have put on more, but at his peak, I think it was under 16 stone. Tyson Fury, we know, is 19. Yeah, so it's a big size difference. Massive size difference. But this is smoking Joe Fraser. This is smoking Joe Fraser. Do you know what I mean? Tough one, peeps. Tough one. I'm going Joe Fraser. I'm going for Joe Fraser with no logic, but only by the fact that it's Joe Fraser and he's an all-time great, and he caused the biggest problems to the greatest heavyweight of all time. That's not really logical because it should be a case of styles make fights. The problem is, there's no one back then to compare to Tyson Fury. George Foreman was 6'4", you know what I mean? He's not big, but he was considered big back then. But he was a big puncher. There was no 6'9" heavyweight that moved. You know what I mean? So who am I comparing Tyson Fury to say, okay, stylistically, Joe would have struggled because... So all I can do is go by where they are in terms of all-time greats. Tyson Fury isn't there yet, right? Might get there, might not. Joe is there. Joe's an all-time great. Joe's a top 10 heavyweight of all time. So it's difficult for me to count him out against anyone that isn't that. Man. I think we're going to toss the coin again, peeps. Sorry. I think we're going to toss the coin again. Because that's such a tough one. Because, look, size counts. Size counts, man. And Tyson Fury is nearly 4 stone. Maybe 4 stone bigger than Joe Fraser. Maybe 4 stone. That's a lot of stones. And sometimes nostalgia can make you do things that, you know what I mean? Like, nostalgia. Like for me, I'm doing this from a nostalgic standpoint, right? Oh, it's Joe Fraser. And you don't like to give credit to fighters now. Again, there aren't many fighters in the history of the sport, if any, that are 6'9" and move. Like how big was Valuev what was Valuev? 7'1"? And look at him, he was as ploddy as, I mean, obviously he weighed a lot more, right? But that's what you're supposed to be like. Tyson Fury's literally ripped up that script and says, well, no, you can move. You can move and you've got a great boxing IQ. You know what? I think Tyson Fury would have beat Joe Fraser. Oh, am I really saying that? Am I really saying that? I don't know. You know what? We're tossing the coin. Tails Tyson Fury, heads Joe Fraser. Heads Joe Fraser's. It's bullshit. I can't do it that way. Nah, I'm going Tyson Fury. I think Tyson Fury would have beat Joe Fraser. I can't believe I'm saying that. I think he would have. I just think he's too big. It's too big. It's just too big, and he's not lumberjack. He's big and moves. He's mobile. I'm going Tyson Fury. All right. I'm going Tyson Fury. All right, so who have we got through as the semi-finalist? We have got Larry Holmes. How am I doing? How does this work? I don't know how they've got this up. Okay, so we have got Vitaly Klitschko versus Tyson Fury. I've always wanted to see that. And we've got Larry Holmes versus Muhammad Ali. Obviously, they fought, didn't they, Larry Holmes and Muhammad Ali, but that wasn't Muhammad Ali, was it? You know what I mean? It wasn't. That was peak Larry Holmes, and that was 15 years removed Muhammad Ali. So if they fought peak for peak, I think it would have been a good fight. Peak for peak would have been a good fight. But if we're talking Muhammad Ali, Sonny Liston, it's a different Muhammad Ali altogether, right? We're talking move, we're talking power, we're talking accuracy, we're talking no wasted punches. Muhammad Ali. It's got to be Muhammad Ali. So Muhammad Ali is through to the final. Who does he fight? Vitaly or Tyson Fury? Vitaly or Tyson Fury? Mind games ain't working. You know, all that clowning shit that Tyson Fury does. You know, Tyson Fury definitely psychs his opponents out beforehand, right? Definitely. It's a big part of boxing. It's a big part of boxing, that mind game. Definitely does it. Bernard Hopkins was a good guy at doing it as well. Psych your opponent out, right? Get into their skin. Make them come out wild and try. That was Tyson Fury. You think that's working with Vitaly? Does anyone out there think that's working with Vitaly? No, it's not working. It's not working. Vitaly could punch, right? Punch like a mule. He's as big. You know, we've spoken about size here, right? Vitaly's 6'7", Tyson Fury's 6'9". That's big, right? So there is no size advantage here, really. I don't know what Vitaly's definitely a little slimmer in terms of weight, but he's not giving away too much. He's definitely not giving away. I don't think he's giving away as much as a stone. So he's as big. He can box. Vitaly's either knocking Tyson Fury out or Tyson Fury's winning a decision here. I'm thinking. Tough on this. Who wins this fight? Vitaly Klitschko or Tyson Fury? What do you think, peeps? I do need to do this as a live stream, right? Just to get people involved. Vitaly Klitschko, Tyson Fury. Who is facing Muhammad Ali and ultimately losing in the final? Vitaly Klitschko or Muhammad Ali? Sorry, Vitaly Klitschko or Tyson Fury. I'm just looking at some of the responses I got from some people because I put this up on Twitter. What have some people said? Some people have said Vitaly wins the bottom half. Interesting. Some people have said that. Oh, some people said Ali and Vitaly in the final. Most people have said, okay, Ali Foreman final. How have you done that? Foreman doesn't, that wouldn't make sense because they would meet in the semis. So I think you kind of got it wrong, or have I got it wrong? Okay, I'm going Vitaly Klitschko though. I think Vitaly might have put a beating on Tyson Fury. Is Vitaly better than Vlad? Absolutely for me. Is Vitaly better than Jones? Absolutely for me. Absolutely better than both of them. Vitaly could hang in any era as far as I'm concerned. So can Fury. I think we have to use the coin. So this is boxing logic's out the window here. Heads, Tyson Fury. Tails, Vitaly. Tails, Vitaly's through, people. Vitaly versus Muhammad Ali final. Yes, Vitaly's big. Yes, Vitaly's strong. Yes, he can punch. Yes, yes, yes. All these things. He's a fantastic boxer. Yes, Muhammad Ali's winning. Muhammad Ali's winning. Guys, that's it. Muhammad Ali. I have obviously gone with Muhammad Ali to win. Is anyone going to argue with that fact? Are you? Are you? Don't think so. You do it. You do it and pick your winners. Like, see who you have got going through. Some of those matchups, I can't lie to you, are phenomenally tough, right? Joe Fraser, Mike Tyson, that's so tough. Lewis Bowe, and then Joe Fraser, Fury. How tough is that to pick? So it wasn't easy. The other side was a lot easier. Joshua Holmes, Foreman Wilder, Vitaly Hay, those ones. But this side, I'm doing this like, I don't know what side it is for you, but that side, wow. If you remove Dillian White. Peace. Guys, sorry, it's me again. I'm back. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Also, please like and share the videos. It really does help the channel a lot. And if you want to support the channel, I do have a Patreon account. The link is in the description. All right, I'm done. Peace.